Hello, I am Xarkun and this is World of Warships Legends. Today we're going to cover everything that's happening in the anniversary update of 2021, which drops on July 26th, 2021. It'll be a 5-week update cycle concluding on August 30th, and there is a lot to cover here, so let's get started. First up, we should talk about the trailer playing in the background. This update features the debut of the second and third premium Tier 7 destroyers. I know I've personally asked for some more premium Tier 7 destroyers because the Udachi can't be allowed to be the only one forever. Luckily for me and anyone else with the same wish, Wargaming is giving us not one but two premium Tier 7 destroyers. Most of you are probably already aware of this because you've probably seen this trailer, but the two destroyers in question are the German ZF-6, which is the reward ship for the updates campaign, and the other one is the Italian destroyer Paolo Emilio, which will be a 750,000 global XP ship. Now, I don't really know much about either of these vessels, aside from some Flamu and Jingles videos that I've seen on the ships, but I'll have much more to say when I can get my hands on them for testing next week. Note that I managed to get the day off for the update drop, so I plan to stream almost as soon as I wake up and get coffee on the day the update drops. We'll see these ships in action at that time on my stream. Before we move on, I should say that the update talks about sales, freebies, and deals to celebrate World of Warships Legends' second anniversary, but it doesn't give any details. Wargaming plans to release a guide for all of these goodies in the upcoming weeks, and they say we can expect something that rhymes with, and I'm going to give this my best shot, Presurefund in August. Now that's spelled Preasurefunt, and I assume they were trying to make those two words rhyme with treasure hunt, but they sort of failed on the first word because it's kind of unpronounceable. No offense, Wargaming, but that's cute. Anyway, moving on, we should note quickly that the alternative American battleship line will leave early access when the update drops. Those of you who didn't get lucky enough to get any of them in crates will be able to start grinding them, and if any of you were lucky enough to get the North Carolina from a crate like I was, and you managed to grind it all the way to the end like I did, you'll be able to unlock and purchase the Tier 7 American battleship Kansas immediately when the update drops. Expect that ship to also feature prominently in my upcoming stream. Now, for some very good news indeed. With the debut of the Paolo Emilio, Wargaming is finally adding Italian destroyer commanders. Yes, commanders, not just one, but two. Maybe that sad little Tier 5 Leone will be a bit better under the command of one of these guys. Who knows? They are Giuseppe Fulgosi and Luigi Rizzo. Fulgosi's base trait increases the duration of the smoke generator by up to 10%, and his unique skill further increases the smokescreen generator duration, but comes at the cost of smokescreen generator dispersion time. Rizzo's base trait increases engine boost duration, and his unique skill increases both engine boost duration and torpedo damage. So finally, dedicated Italian destroyer commanders. I look forward to testing them out. But speaking of new commanders, let's transition into something for all of you weebs out there. More anime content. Now, I don't really have the details on this new anime collaboration, but I understand we're getting 5 new commanders and at least 1 new unique skin, but probably more. This collaboration is with the Arpeggio of Blue Steel, which I know nothing about. but I'm sure those of you who enjoy that kind of thing are very excited indeed. I know all the weebs have been asking for this particular collaboration for a long time, so congrats, you finally got it. Further details on this collaboration will come in time. But next up, a brief announcement of a second Legendary Birthday Bureau project. No details on this one either, but you can expect it to be a lot like the first Legendary Bureau project. The segments will likely reward you with crates, camos, other goodies, but we'll know more in time. Now, there is no time limit on this second Legendary Birthday Bureau project, but it will probably go away eventually. So if you want to do it, you should start it sooner rather than later. But now, we can announce some truly exciting news, and you're going to be shocked when I tell you that the exciting news involves ranked. This update will feature 3 seasons of ranked battles. Sounds like 2 of the 3 are essentially ranked sprint seasons, which is excellent, and the third one is a longer season. But here's the exciting news. Season 14 features Tier 6 ships, and Season 15 finally features Tier 7 ships. I apologize to anyone watching who doesn't have any or many high-tier ships, but those of us who do have waited for 15 seasons to finally be able to play Tier 7 in Ranked, and now we can, so that's great news. The final season of the update, Season 16, will be the longer one, and will feature a 3-league system that starts with Tier 5 ships and ends with Tier 7 ships. All 3 seasons will feature the arms race mechanic that was present in the previous season of Arena Mode. Wargaming will make a dedicated blog post explaining the finer details on July 28th, so look out for it then. Finally, we come to an extremely meaty section of balance changes and miscellaneous changes and improvements, and there are some extremely significant changes here. First up, matchmaking. Legendary ships will now be allowed to division with Tier 7 ships in standard battle. Now, I'm not sure why this wasn't a thing before, but better late than never, right? Next, all destroyer commanders will receive a new skill called Perceptive, which increases the visibility of enemy torpedoes, reduces incoming damage to the destroyer, and shows the direction of the closest enemy ship, i.e. the radio positioning finder that you get from the skill Twist and Track will now be available essentially on all destroyer commanders, so you can use it on any destroyer, and that is good news because that radio positioning finder is a very valuable thing for destroyers, not just gunboats either. You can aim your torpedoes at that thing and sometimes get blind torpedo hits on whatever is sailing in the direction that the radio position finder is indicating. And now, aircraft carriers. Look at this game. This was played before the nerf. Well, all Tier 7 aircraft carriers are getting bigger squadrons. Parseval is now getting 9-plane dive bomber and torpedo bomber squadrons with 3-unit strike groups. In other words, in your squadron, you're going to have 9 planes total, and they're going to break off into 3-unit groups to strike, so you will now be able to perform 3 drops with 3 planes out of your 9-plane squadron instead of 2 drops. At least I'm pretty sure that's how it works. That's how it sounds like it works anyway. So, great. Shokaku gets 9-plane dive bomber squadrons with 3-unit strike groups like Parseval, but unlike Parseval, it gets 8-plane torpedo bomber squadrons with 2-unit strike groups. I think this means that each torpedo drop now consists of 2 planes instead of 3, with 4 possible drops out of an 8-plane squadron instead of only 2. And Lexington gets both 8-plane dive bomber squadrons and 8-plane torpedo bomber squadrons with 2-unit strike groups at base. But the fully upgraded ship gets 9-plane squadrons with 3-unit strike groups of both bomber types when fully upgraded. Now, these will be interesting changes to test out. I'm not sure whether they'll make the carriers significantly more or less powerful, but it does seem like they will increase your chance to perform drops, which may make them more powerful, although it does sound like the plane HP and all those kind of similar stats are going to pretty much remain the same. So whether this is a nerf or a buff, I don't know really what to say to that, but it is a change, and it's an interesting change. I mean, I did think since the beginning that the Tier 7 planes would have bigger plane squadrons than the Tier 5 planes with more chances to drop, but in fact they, at this moment in time, at least until the update, have the same number of planes per squadron as the Tier 5 carriers with less drops because you only get 2, whereas on the Tier 5s you get 3. So now you're going to get bigger squadrons with more drops on the Tier 7, which does make sense, I suppose. Anyway, the final balance change now before we move on to the miscellaneous stuff. Wargaming is removing some of the least used skills from the universal or base commanders, i.e. Togo, Dewey, Scheer, Jellicoe, Von Essen, Fournay, and Campioni. The skills being removed are Barely Out of Peril and Smoke on the Water. This is being done to try to simplify these commanders for newer players, and apparently nobody uses those skills anyway. I couldn't even really tell you what they do because I don't think I use them either, so, whatever. Now on to the miscellaneous stuff. The Big Race map now has Epicenter mode enabled for Tier 4 battles. If you aren't familiar with this game mode, there's a giant cap circle in the center of the map composed of, I guess you could say, capturable rings or zones. If you're in the outer rings of the circle, you will capture only those rings, but if you get to the center, you capture the whole thing. To win, a team must capture the epicenter, win by points, or destroy every ship on the opposing team. Essentially, it's kind of like a domination mode game, except all the caps are one split cap in the center of the map, and the center of the map is kind of like a single cap base on Capture the Base mode, I guess. That's what I understand it's going to be. I predict that this is probably sort of a test, because it's only on Big Race for Tier 4 battles, but I think Epicenter may begin to show up as a game mode on higher tier maps in the coming updates. I don't know, we'll see. That's just a guess. More miscellaneous changes. Ship filters have been visually reworked to make them more user-friendly and also faster. And you can now filter commanders too, whenever looking for one for your ship or browsing for commander inspirations. So that's good, because there are a lot of commanders, and it would be good to filter them. And there's a lot more commanders coming with this new Arpeggio of Blue Steel thing. What's next? A new medal is being introduced for shooting down 20 enemy aircraft in one battle. The medal is called Clear Sky. That is cool, I guess. At least now ships with good anti-aircraft firepower can potentially get some kind of reward for shooting down planes. CV bomber squadrons are getting a new targeting reticle. Very, very, very interesting. We'll have to see what that targeting reticule looks like on these bombers, and whether it makes it easier or more difficult to land bomb drops on surface ships. That'll be interesting. Ship consumables that can be switched are now going to be made more obvious. So that is, some ships you can do radar, or you can do a plane, for example. Apparently, this will be made more obvious in the loadout screen so that it's more clear that you can change out these particular consumables. So that might be good. You can open multiple crates at one time now, which is very excellent. The detected ribbon will now be awarded to all ship classes instead of just CVs. So yes, destroyers will finally get those spotting ribbons too. Maybe some of them will actually try to spot now. Who knows? We'll see. Finally, several historical camos are being added for the Baltimore, Bismarck, Hipper, Z-23, Richelieu, Chuck the Hammer, Martel, Shokaku, and Lexington. I am particularly excited about the fact that the Chuck Martin is going to get a historical camo. You can be sure that as soon as that thing is available, I'll be slapping it on the Chuck Martin here. But that's basically all there is of note for this update. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. What are you looking forward to? What do you think about the CV changes? Are you excited for the ZF6 or the Palo Emilio? Let me know what you're thinking in the comments. But before we go, and before we wrap up this video, I do want to make a comment about this game because it's something I've been holding on to for quite a while. Now, for some reason or another, I guess the German aircraft carriers kind of have a reputation for having secondaries, or at least some of them have a reputation for having effective secondaries on the PC. That is not the case here. You wouldn't want to move your aircraft carrier into a position where you are close enough to the enemy ships to actually use your secondaries, but there is an instance in which secondaries can become useful on these aircraft carriers, and you're seeing it play out for you right here on your screen. All you have to do is kill the entire enemy team, find the enemy aircraft carrier, and get into secondary range when it's the only ship left alive on your team, on the enemy team, and then you get into secondary range while you hit it over and over and over and over again with your torpedo bombers like I'm doing here. And then your secondaries will start firing, as you can see, at the enemy aircraft carrier, and they'll even do a little bit of damage. Let's see how many secondary hits we get here. I think, well, at least a few of them we're going to get before this game ends with our victory. But anyway, that's all there is for this video, and that's all there is to talk about in the new update. Again, let me know what you think about this upcoming update in the comments section. Be sure to give the video a thumbs up before you go. Consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.